I can't keep living the life that I'm living. I can't keep doing things the exact same way every day and expecting different results. Like, I have got to start looking at things differently and realize that it's hard. It's gonna be hard, period.
He's already knocked me. He's already beat me down. He calls these guns fake. He says they're in a boy's medium, so they look bigger. Welcome to the Unstoppables, and my special guest today is Glenn Lundy. Boy, did I mess that up. Want me to do it again?
Yeah, let's do it one more time.
Let's do it again. The shirt's too tight. It's constricting the blood flow to my brain. I have Glenn Lundy on the Unstoppables. He is an advocate for motivation, education, inspiration. He's a father of 6. Congratulations. And general manager of Dan Cummins Chevrolet Buick. He's the host of a show where he gets up and he rises and he grinds. It's called Rise and Grind. Glenn Lundy, welcome to the show.
Hey man, I appreciate it, Bill, and I appreciate you having me on here. This is gonna be fun.
Well, it is gonna be fun. And the first thing I have envy. I want that shirt. I love the color. I love the Rise and Grind. I love the way you have that. The only thing I don't like, and we already talked about this off air, is you got a Raider thing going on behind you. It just doesn't work out. If people know football, that just don't work out. But
oh my goodness, man, we're like 47 seconds in. I thought you were gonna break out the helmet later. I wouldn't expect you to drop it.
I start bringing the whip ass early, man. I just run out of steam later because I'm old. So you can dance.
Well, here, I'm thinking we need to get you one of these shirts, so I'm gonna have my assistant send you a medium.
I knew
that. We'll go ahead and get that sent right out.
I knew you were going there. Just a matter of time. Tell me a little bit about your background. How did you get from the origins, or your origins? Tell me about them, and to where you are right now.
Yeah, sure, man. I grew up in Flagstaff, Arizona. That's where I spent most of my life, high school, junior high, all that stuff. And then I went to college briefly and met a young lady, and she got pregnant quickly. So life came at me fast, and I decided to get into the car business so that I could provide and support my family. Regretfully, the dealership that I jumped into was kind of your stereotypical, car dealership. And so I started learning some bad habits and started kind of doing some crazy stuff and partying a lot and things like that. And quickly, I was just not in a good place with my relationship and with my daughter. So when my daughter was 6 years old, she was taken away from me. I lost custody of her. She was taken away. And that was the point in my life where I didn't know what to do, man. So I just kind of like ran, like she was gone. I couldn't be in the same town. I didn't want to see her and not be able to, talk to her or relate with her or whatever. So I moved and kind of hit the road. And that's where my journey really started, traveling all around the United States, trying to figure out who I was and where I was going to land. And of course, it wasn't great, man. I spent some time in jail, and I spent some time on the streets and just trying to kind of figure everything out before I made it to good old Kentucky, man. So that's the real short version of a really long, drawn out story. But, since I got to Kentucky, I met another girl, and she got pregnant. And I realized I was back in the car business, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm in the exact same place I was before, but now I'm not going to make the same mistakes. And so that's when I started attacking, learning from different people and just learning different strategies and ways to be a better person in life, got more in connect with the spiritual side of myself, started getting a better morning routine. And now here I am, man, general manager of the second largest used car volume dealership in the country. Father of 6, and I've got my show #RiseandGrind, which has been amazing. It's just been absolutely amazing, man.
Talk to you about two things, and first we're going to talk about the past. Glenn, so many people, a lot of the people I'm sure you mentor, get stuck in the past. So they go through maybe similar situations, like where they're running from something. And tell me how the past is or was important to you in creating where you are right now. What did you learn from it?
Well, basically all of my experiences, like especially, during the time that I was going through these things, of course, I didn't realize that these were life lessons. I didn't realize that these were things that were going to be beneficial to me later in life as I was going through them. But the biggest thing that I learned as I was in all these different positions, I had a real victim mentality, right? Like it was always everybody else's fault. It was never my fault. And a buddy of mine, after me going from city to city to city to city and just repeating the same mistakes, a buddy of mine asked me one time, he said, "Hey, Glenn, what has been the one thing that has been constant in every city you're in? What is the one thing that's been the same?" And I'm like, me. Me, man. Like I'm the only thing that has been consistent in every one of these cities. No matter what environment I was in, Glenn Lundy was always there. So he looked me straight in the eye and said, "Glenn, you take yourself wherever you go." And that was one thing that really sunk with me. Like, man, yeah, I do. I take myself everywhere that I go. So whatever happens around me is not, I am not victim to that. I am cause of that.
Mhm.
And that's something that I couldn't have learned without being on the streets, without going through those situations, without God allowing me to live through that stuff. I never would have been able to realize that I am cause. I am not effect. I am cause.
And cause is taking ownership of your life. Cause is taking personal responsibility. So it is cause. You are the cause. You are the one that makes those things happen. They don't happen to you. When they do, you go back to you, back to your roots, back to your belief, and it gets you through it. Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Now, the other thing I want to talk to you about that's important for all of us is your routine. Tell me the importance of routine in the rise and grind mentality.
Well, basically what we, the whole group as far as Rise and Grind is just a group of motivated, inspired, and, it's just a crazy place, man. And it just kind of came out of nowhere. But the importance of the morning routine is the basis and the root to the entire thing, to the group, to the shirts, to everything. And so I have 5 beliefs. There's 5 things that you have to do every single morning, that if you do these 5 things, it will absolutely change your life. You want me to go through all 5 things?
Absolutely.
All right, check. So very first thing that you have to do in the morning, if you want to absolutely change your life, is you can't hit the snooze button ever. Don't hit the snooze button. Now, Bill, I know you're a reader and I know you do a lot of research and stuff. I actually learned this from Mel Robbins, man. There's sleep cycles, scientific studies, and when your body's ready to wake up and you hit that snooze button, you're not just setting yourself back 10 minutes, you're setting yourself back 3 hours, in reality. So rule number 1, never, ever, ever hit the snooze button.
How much sleep do you get a night?
I go to bed at 11:30. I get up at 4:30. I get 5 hours of sleep every night.
And, great. Never, ever hit the snooze button. Love that one. Go.
Yeah, never, ever. Second thing that you have to do in the morning if you want to change your life is do not, absolutely, under any circumstances, get on your phone first thing in the morning. Just don't do it, man.
Oops.
You can't do it. The only thing that you're allowed to do with your phone first thing in the morning, Bill, the only thing you're allowed to do is jump on, maybe put on some motivational music, some instrumental type music, something without words, throw the headphones on. You're allowed to do that, but no emails, no text messages, no social media, none of that stuff. And the reason, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was going to ask you for the reason. So go ahead. You're flowing.
Yeah, the reason for that is real simple, man. That first hour and a half in the morning, that's when your brain is most engaged, right? That's when we're going to start programming ourselves for our day, for our week, for our month, for our life. That's the programming time. If we jump on our phones, we are immediately handing over the most crucial hour of the day to everyone else. We're handing it over to everyone else. I might open an email and it's somebody who's got something negative to say, or I might see a bad review about my dealership. And so all of a sudden I'm starting the day allowing other people to control my direction.
That's a great point.
Can't have that, man.
Great point.
Can't have that. So don't touch your phone. That's the second thing you got to do first thing in the morning if you want to change your life. It's just don't put on the music and that's it.
You see what I've learned? Because the first thing I do is hit the phone, hit the snooze button, and the next thing I do is then open up my emails. So, what's your third one? Don't.
The third thing. See, we're each going to learn from each other here today. That's what we're going to do. We're going to learn from each other. The third thing that you absolutely have to do in the morning that will change your life is you have to write down everything you're thankful for and your goals, man. You got to have a gratitude list and goals. You got to start every day with some type of direction. The point of the gratitude list for me and my experience is because the world can get crazy, right? And we can start thinking about all the things we don't have, all the places we're not at, and all the places we should have gone. The brain can do that to us. So when I start the day, or when you start your day, you need to make sure to start by just saying everything you're thankful for. It's not always easy, man. Sometimes it's like, I'm thankful I have a roof over my head because I know what it's like to not. I'm thankful to have heat right now because I remember what it was like to sleep in the cold. Sometimes it's just little things like that that get me starting to vibrate on the right frequency.
Yes.
I start to get on a good positive frequency. Now, once you're done with your gratitude list and you're vibrating on a positive frequency, that's when you want to attack your goals, man. That's when you start writing out your goals, your dreams, your visions. From a universal standpoint, that positive energy is going to go out there and help you to draw those things in, right? You know that. I know that. So we got to be in a positive frequency first, then go into goals. I think that's a huge step that a lot of people miss. I think a lot of people go straight into the goals, which is still good. But if you can get in that frequency, it's amazing. It's life-changing. So that's the third thing. Fourth thing you have to do in the morning if you absolutely want to change your life is you got to take care of the physical, man. You got to take care of the physical. You got to feed yourself. You got to work out. Obviously, you've got this one down, right? Obviously, you got that down. But you got to take care of the physical. And for some people, it's walking. Maybe it's running. Maybe it's jogging. Maybe it's working out. I don't care what it is. But you got to take care of the physical. That's the fourth one. And then the very fifth and last thing that you absolutely have to do every single day if you want to change your life is you have to reach out and encourage and lift somebody up, man. Mm-hmm. You got to take all this energy. You've had a great morning already. You've listened to motivational music. You've done your gratitude list. You've written down your goals. You've taken care of your physical. You're vibing. You're on this frequency. That's the time you got to tell your wife you love her, or tell her she looks nice, or tell your kids you're proud of them, or maybe send a message to one of your coworkers or employee or somebody in the gym. Just encourage and lift somebody up because you've got this frequency, this energy that's running through you right now. And when you start to share that with others, that's when your life starts to expand, man. That's when things start to really go to that next level.
You are coming from a place of increase. You're coming from a place of abundance. You're coming from a place of positivity. And I have done a lot of shows from Sirius Radio till now. Those takeaways are some of the best takeaways I've ever heard. So
hey, thank you.
They're ready to be applied today. I've learned. I think I have 6, but you call them down for me. No snooze button.
Right.
No phone. Is that 2 or is that part of 1?
Yeah, no phone is 2.
All right. Wake up and with gratitude first. Go through the gratitude. That's 3, right?
Well, gratitude and goals. Gratitude and goals is number 3. Write down your gratitude list, then write down your goals.
Physical, and then reach out and do something positive for somebody.
That's right, man.
And I love the vibrating frequency before the goals. That's a fantastic takeaway.
Hey, thank you. Thank you.
By you. So how did you end up though? You just said Kentucky, this seems cool. I mean, there's good bourbon stuff, right? It just seems like it's a cool place, right? There's a Kentucky Wildcats, there's the Derby, but other than that, what you got?
It's really crazy. I was in Buffalo, New York, man.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. I was in Buffalo, New York, holed up in a hotel room, opening sales offices for a company called 2020 Companies. And I'm up in Buffalo, and I get this email across my computer, and it says, "Hey, Glenn, we need you to drive down to Lexington, Kentucky, and open a sales office." And I'm going, "What? Lexington, Kentucky?" Like the only thing I knew about Kentucky back then was basketball and horses, right? That's it, basketball and horses. So I looked it up. It was like a 12-hour drive down to Kentucky. And I was at a point in my life right then where I had been living in hotels for about 7 months, opening sales offices for this company, just traveling around, really spending every night drinking, every day, doing this little job where I had no one looking over my shoulder, no accountability, nothing like that. So I was just kind of running and drinking and chasing girls and doing a little bit of work in between at this point. So I was still searching, really soul searching, trying to figure out where I needed to be. And so I drive down from Buffalo. I drive 12 hours to Lexington, Kentucky, man, playing online gambling in my car on the computer the whole drive down to keep me awake, right? I'm playing in like online poker tournaments and stuff. I was so crazy back then. So I show up to Lexington, Kentucky. Now, Lexington's got one big road that goes around the whole city. It's called New Circle Road. And as I'm traveling around on New Circle Road, I'm thinking, this place is kind of pretty. It's kind of cool. I wonder what it's like. And I'm still trying to get in touch with my spiritual side. I wasn't very spiritual at the time, but I'm talking to the universe like, "Hey man, what am I doing with my life? Like I need some help." And so as I'm driving around New Circle Road, I'm a car guy, right? I've sold cars the majority of my life. One thing you do as a car guy is you always look at the license plate frames on the cars to see, where they're being bought from. It's just something that you do. So I'm looking at all these license plate frames, and I swear every single car says Glenn, because there's a big auto mall in Lexington, Kentucky, Glenn's Auto Mall. So every car's like Glenn, screaming at me, right? Then I look over to my left and there's this big catering truck and it says Lundy's Catering. So
Oh,
it's like Glenn Lundy. And Lundy's Catering is a huge catering company out here. So you see their trucks everywhere. So I spent 3 weeks out here with every car saying Glenn and every truck saying Lundy. And I'm like, maybe this is where I need to be, you know? Maybe. I mean, you ask for a sign. What better sign can you get?
right.
So I did leave. I went back to San Diego after I was in Lexington for 3 weeks. I went back to San Diego. And about 2 months later, a guy that I had met while I was out here, a guy named Aaron Jones, called me and said, "Hey, Glenn, I need a roommate. What are you doing with your life?" And I looked in the mirror and said, "I'm not doing anything with my life." And so I jumped on an airplane, man, $1,500 cash in a suitcase, worst credit on the planet, didn't know anybody but this guy, Aaron Jones. And I flew across the country, landed at the Lexington airport, called Aaron Jones. He didn't answer. I called him again. He didn't answer. I called him again. He didn't answer. I sat at the airport for 2 hours freaking out about what was going to happen. And then finally he answered his phone. He came and picked me up. And then that's where it all started here in Kentucky, man. I've been here ever since.
It's a great story. Do you hire salespeople?
I do. Yes.
What do you look for? First and foremost thing you look for in a salesperson?
First and foremost is I'm really looking for someone who wants to change their life.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, that's what I'm looking for. I do not hire on credentials whatsoever. I'm working on a book right now. One of the chapters is we hire on character, not credentials.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got these guys in the car business. They come at me all the time. Like, man, I've got 10 years experience. I was the top guy. I was a sales manager. I was a finance guy. I was this, you need me on your team. And I'm just like, dude, take your resume, throw it in the trash. I want to know who you are. Like, who are you as a person? What motivates you? What drives you? Why are you sitting in front of me? So that's pretty much the first question I ask every employee is, why are you sitting in front of me, man? What is your motivation? And what I'm looking for is I want them to say, dude, I'm here to change my life, man. I want to change my life.
This is what I found, because similar story this way is that I had a oxidized brown station wagon coming out of Western Pennsylvania with $200 my mom gave me, a corduroy suit. That was the only suit I had, right? The black tie. That's people in my audience probably get tired of hearing the story, but that type of story. And so what I'm looking for is very similar to you. What to change your life? I'm looking for the fracture. So I'm looking for those people that have done what I've done, went, grew his hair, smoked cigarettes, went and drank, spent his money, went and worked in a factory, became a rebel without a clue. Same way you did, running, partying, playing, not responsible. I'm looking for the fracture, and how are they going to heal that fracture, and how bad do they want to change their life? We're very similar on what we're looking for in that, because credentials aren't going to get it for you. What's going to get it for you is the hunger, the humility, the belief in something greater than you, and that ability to rise and grind.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I love that. I've never heard that before. I like that terminology right there. Looking for the fracture.
You gotta look for the fracture.
Wanting to heal it. I like that.
Looking for the fracture. And the best ones in this company have a fracture.
Yeah, man.
I found the fracture. When you find the fracture, the way they heal that fracture is their way forward. And I'm telling you, that's the eternal hunger, because other than that, people come in, they're motivated to be the Wolf of Wall Street. And they're motivated, and they really go out like the lamb on Main Street because they don't have the hunger, the humility, the fracture that drives them forward. I'm looking for the fracture.
Yeah, man. That's awesome, dude. That's awesome.
We share that. You know, you've done a lot of things. Tell me what your greatest accomplishment to date has been. I know you got a lot more in front of you, but tell me what it's been to date.
Greatest accomplishment to date. Well, I'm guessing my wife probably won't watch this interview. So as long as she doesn't watch, then I'll go to the work side of things. The greatest accomplishment, I think, as far as from a business side of things, obviously, you know, my family is my everything. Okay. I don't have all these kids because I don't like kids. You know, I love my babies. I love my family. And that's a huge accomplishment. But as far as business wise, I spent 7 years in a dealership in Flagstaff, Arizona, doing things the wrong way. Okay. And not just being, you know, I was taught the wrong way when I was a salesman. And then I turned around and did everything that I hated as a salesman. I turned around and did those exact same things to all of my salesmen once I moved into a sales manager role and a GSM role. You know, I just repeated that cycle for 7 years. I've now been with Dan Cummins Chevrolet here in Paris, Kentucky for 7 years, just a little over 7 years.
Wow.
And in the last 7 years with this company, I've taken it from a team of 6 and 7 salespeople to I now have a team of 42 salespeople. We went from 55 employees to we now have 280 employees. We went from selling 110 cars a month to we're getting ready to sell 1,000 cars this month, March, maybe 1,100. So we've moved, and we're just in a small town, man, 9,600 people in this town. So in this small city, we've managed to take this team by doing things the right way, by hiring people on character, not credentials, by treating people the way they deserve to be treated, by being servant leaders, by taking everything I learned in the car business over those 7 years and doing the exact opposite. We've managed to become one of the largest dealerships in the country. And that, for me, is one of my greatest accomplishments, man. I've watched these guys change their lives working with me and beside me. My life's changed, their lives changed, and it's incredible, man.
I think like seeks like, and I've gotten past that Raider thing behind you, and now I like you.
Oh, okay. All right. We're good,
I lost
dude.
my first 9 sales going off a script and doing what everyone taught me to do. When I threw that thing in the car, said, blanket, I'm going to do this my way, and I'm going to meet people as people. I'm going to come from the heart. I'm going to try to influence minds, but I'm really coming from the heart first. I started to kill it. And that made all the difference. And I want to ask you this question about being a salesperson, and then I want to talk about the right way. What do you think the key is to being a great salesperson?
I think the biggest key to being a great salesperson, and actually, hold on, I'm going to look at this note because I want to make sure I say this the exact right way. There it is right here. Here's the thing. If you want to be a great salesperson, okay, three things very, very easy. Number one, you have to be authentic all the time. You have to be absolutely authentic. You have to find your passion. You got to be passionate about it. If you're not passionate about it, get out, man. Just don't do it. If you're not passionate about it, get out. And you got to go all in. I think those are the 3 things that you have to do to be a great salesperson, man. Be authentic, make sure it's your passion, it's in your lane, and go all in.
There you go. Go all in. And all in is something I wrote about. I'm not plugging this book, but I am.
Hey, plug that book, man.
Now,
you didn't write it for it to just sit on your table there. You got to sell that thing.
It's got to so match my shirt. But all in is that total immersion in life where you burn your boat behind you. You know, like the Greeks did, like the Spartans did. Burn those boats. Take that, and all you see is smoke behind you. All in investment and immersion. Some people want it, they think they want it, but they're not, they don't have that fracture where they have to have it. You know, right. That must have, that burning desire. You know where you came from. You use that pain to make you go forward. That's part of your fucking fuel. Yeah, I mean, that's the key. So I'm loving what you're saying. I'm getting passionate just from talking with you about this because there's a lot of connections we have. What is the right way? And I know what you mentioned, the servant leadership way, but what's the right way to connect as a salesperson? What is the right way that you do business?
Well, here's what we did. As far as the dealership, I literally wrote down everything that I hated in the car business. I wrote down everything that I hated as a salesperson. Yeah. And I wrote down everything that I hated as a consumer, like as a person buying a car. Like what do they hate about it? So I just wrote down everything I hated. And then I said, okay, we're just going to do the opposite of everything that people hate. So as a salesperson, I hated the super, super, super long hours. Like I hated working 7 days a week, working on Sundays, having to be there from 8 in the morning till 10 at night, not having any life outside of work. I hated that. So at my dealership, my guys get 1 day off in the middle of the week. We're closed on Sundays. They get 1 day, they get to come in a little late. 1 day they get to leave a little early. Do they still work 70 hours a week? Yeah, they're still working 70 hours a week, man. They're grinding, but they have a little bit of flexibility where they can have a life outside of work. So little things like that. And once you start to attack internally, you make sure that all of your staff and your employees are happy, then it just trickles down to the consumer on the other side. Yes. So that's always been my target is let's focus on the dealership itself and making sure it's running well and everybody's in it for the right reasons and everybody's happy and we've got the right people in place and they're enjoying their job and they're being rewarded. Like my guys grind, but they get paid. I've got like the highest paid staff in the car business by far. My guys get paid. So there's a big reward from it. And when they're all happy, my goodness, dude, our reviews go through the roof. It's 5-star review after 5-star review. The customers get treated right.
And then people are coming up to you. We call it testimonials here, things people write about us that we never asked for. They're unsolicited, and that is our calling card. And they speak to integrity, the passion, the commitment, the levels of care that we take on behalf of our client. You're not going to let your wife watch this. I'm not going to let the salespeople in here watch this because you're You're going to give them a lot of ideas. I love your idea on the flexibility. I love your idea about what didn't feel right for you and what would you change, because that's a huge mindset shift for a lot of people, you know, who are indentured servants to the corporate way. And when you can break out, you can make it human, make it real. I think you're doing what you do. It's a tipping point for you. I got to ask you this question because you mentioned it earlier about your daughter, and you left your first daughter, right?
Yeah.
Have you been able to reconnect?
We did, man. After 8 years. So she was taken away from me when she was 6. And when she was, I guess she was 13 years old, I had finally started to get my life together. I was doing well with the dealership, married to my wife, and my step grandfather passed away back in Arizona. So I had to go back for the funeral, right? And so I asked my mom, who still lived in Arizona, if she would connect with my daughter's mom. I know there's a lot of connections here, but anyways, you'll get it. And I asked if she would try to reach out to her and just see if I could have a conversation with her. I just wanted to sit down with my daughter's mom and have a conversation. And so she reached out to her. My daughter's mom was like, nope, hate him, not happening, not going to talk, don't care, whatever, right? So I'm like, all right, well, just at least now she knows I'm in town. At least she knows I'm going to be in town for 4 days. So if she changes her mind, she knows I'm there. So my 3rd day that I was in town, she called and said, let's sit down and talk. And I was scared to death, brother. This woman dude, she owns a CrossFit gym, right? Like, she owns a CrossFit gym. She's stacked, right? So I was scared to death. I'm just going to be honest, man. So we meet up at this tiny little coffee shop. Tiny. There's probably 20 seats in this coffee shop, and every one of them's full, right? Every seat's full. I walk in. She's sitting at the table like He-Man'd out, right? You can already see the veins popping out of her neck. She's sitting there. I sit down at the table, and as soon as I sit down, she goes off for like 10 minutes, cusses me, screaming. She's banging on the table. Everyone in the place is just staring, and I'm just like, oh my God. And I'm just sitting there like, please don't kill me, man. It was crazy. She goes off for about 10 minutes. Then she sits down on the table. She takes a deep breath, and she goes, okay, I needed to get all that off my chest. Now, why are you here? And what are we talking about? And we talked, man. We talked for like an hour, hour and a half. We talked. And at the end of the conversation, she said, I will let you write letters. Like, she gave me permission to start writing letters with my daughter, but she was going to read them first because she wanted to make sure I wasn't like trashing her in the letters or in lying to her or anything. She was very untrusting of me because of all the pain I had caused, you know, over all those years. I caused a lot of pain, dude. So we started writing letters, and about a year later, on Christmas Day, I got a phone call from my daughter. First time I had talked to her in 8 years, which was awesome. And then went out to Arizona and got to visit her out there, reconnect with her, brought her here to Kentucky. She's met all her brothers and sisters. And you want to talk about a crazy God thing, dude. Let me tell you a crazy God thing real quick. So my daughter, I want her to come to Kentucky to meet all her brothers and sisters, right? Well, her mom's still like, I don't know if I want to send her out there. Her mom's brother, his name was Yannick, marries this woman. This woman's parents live right down the street from my house here in Kentucky. So literally like 3 miles down the road, dude. So my daughter's mom comes out with my daughter. She stays at her brother's in-laws house where she's just up the road while Kira stays with me. And we were able to reconnect, and it was a comfortable situation for everybody because her mom was just right up the road in case something happened, you know? So now here she is. She's 18 years old, and we have a great relationship now. She absolutely calls me every time she needs money, every single time. So it's super good. If she doesn't need money, I get text messages. If she needs money, I get phone calls. But we're back in each other's life, and it's been truly a blessing, man. It's awesome.
That's a fantastic story, my friend.
Hey, thanks, Bill.
Well, because you have so much of this, it seems, in your life, let me ask you what your definition, not some cut and paste out of a book, which I know you won't give me, your definition of success.
My definition of success. I'm still trying to define it. I think I'm still trying to really get there. I think to define success, I guess it just comes down to the 3 areas. You know, when you're healthy, mentally, physically, and spiritually. When you're healthy in all three of those areas, I think you could define that as success. It's not about necessarily money or wealth or anything like that. When you're in tune, mentally you're doing good. You're firing on all cylinders. You're coming up with the ideas. You're being creative. You're taking action. You're doing good things mentally. Physically, your body's healthy. And then of course, spiritually, man, you're hardlined into the universe. To me, that would be my definition of success, is when you've got all three of those things firing at the exact same time.
Yeah, that's fantastic. The opposite side of success, we have to go through this, is failure. What's your biggest failure, and what did you learn from it?
Yeesh. Losing my daughter was a big one. When I left, when my daughter was taken away from me, and it was of course everyone else's fault. It wasn't my fault, just to clarify, right? It was everyone else's fault. At least that's what I thought back then. It was totally my fault.
Victim,
but, yeah, the victim mentality. Yeah. But when she was taken away from me, I packed up my Ford Mustang and I just kind of hit the road. And I had this brilliant plan that I was going to be a professional gambler, and I was going to do that for the rest of my life, just play cards, and everything was going to be awesome. And I started spending my life basically eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner in casinos, while I played poker. My best friend was the same guy that would take my rent money from me. So that was the life that I just thought was just amazing, right? And so I kind of fell into that, and it wasn't long. It was only about a year after she was taken away from me, and I was doing the poker thing, and I moved from Vegas, and then I went to California, and it was about a year in that I had burned every bridge I could possibly burn. I had taken advantage of every person I could take advantage of, and I was on the streets. Basically, I would spend my day, I would get up in the morning, go walk around the streets, just trying to find some change. I never begged for money. I could never ask anybody for money, but I would go look for nickels and dimes and pennies on the street so I could get enough for maybe a sausage McMuffin or something to eat for the day. And then I'd spend the rest of the day on the beaches and just looking for enough money to get a bus pass so I could get on the bus at night, and I would sleep on the bus because it would run 24 hours. So I would sleep on the bus till 6 a.m. and then they'd kick me off the bus, and I'd just go through it again, man. I'd just go through it again. And I went through that period of life. It wasn't long, wasn't a really long period of my life, probably 3 to 5 weeks that I kind of had to do this routine. But that was my lowest of lows. And that's when I realized, you want to talk about epic failures. Like, I had gotten into the car business, been incredibly successful, went from sales guy to finance guy to GM. I had the girl, I had the kid, I had the white picket fence. I had all that, man, but I didn't appreciate any of it. I didn't have any morals. I wasn't in tune spiritually at all. I didn't even believe in God at the time. And when it was all taken away, I was just sitting there in these homeless moments. And I at one point decided that I wanted to end it all, man. I didn't want to live anymore. I didn't have anywhere to turn. And so I swam out into the ocean. I'm not a very good swimmer. I don't know if you've heard the stereotype before or not, but black people in water, we don't get together very well.
Before your time, because I have Muhammad Ali on my desk, his nemesis was Joe Frazier, and Joe Frazier almost drowned in the pool, right? Doing it for whatever that thing they used to do as athletes. So that's the first time I ever heard of the stereotype. Don't know, it might be just muscle bound, because I can't do it that well either. So.
Yeah, but I'm not a good swimmer, so I figured I'll just go out into this ocean right here, and I'll swim out as far as I can, and I won't be able to make it back, and we'll be done with all this. We won't have to do this anymore. And so I swam out as far as I could, and I swam out, and I would get to that point where my head's starting to bob, and I'm like, okay, here we go, I'm about to go under, and then all of a sudden I'd bob down, and next thing you know, my feet would hit the ground again, and I'm like, what is going on? Well, the tide was coming in, and I wasn't a strong enough swimmer to even get out past the tide, so I kept getting pushed up onto the beach, man. So here I am, washed up on the beach after I tried taking my own life. Here I am, washed up on the beach, and I'm looking up at the stars, and I'm just thinking, dude, I can't even do this right. I can't even take my life right. What are you doing, Glenn? And as I just looked up to these stars and just saw how small I was and how big the universe was, that's when I started to realize, okay, there's no easy way out of this thing, man. I can't keep living the life that I'm living. I can't keep doing things the exact same way every day and expecting different results. I have got to start looking at things differently and realize that it's hard. It's gonna be hard. Period. And so I'm not saying I started making all kinds of good decisions right after that, because I sure didn't. I still made plenty of bad decisions going forward. But that was kind of that moment where I started to look outside of self, and I started to look outside to the bigger picture of what's really going on in this universe.
Unless we have those defining moments, I don't think we can go forward in life. And I think that's huge. When you were able to make that not only a mindset shift, but a spiritual shift, I mean, I think that has just taken you to places, and it's going to continue to take you to great places. You have a certain way that I'm a believer. I might have been a cynic before the show because I saw that stuff behind you, but now I'm a believer. Where can the audience find you?
They can just go to glenlundy.com. It's
Glenn
really easy.
Lundy, and it's Lundy, but Glenn's got two N's. Glenn, right?
Yep.
Lundy.
Correct. Yeah.
GlennLundy.com, and there's Riseandgrind behind you. So is that part of that's your podcast though, right?
Yeah, that's the podcast and the group. We have a group that now has, I just started this group, man, 2 months ago, and I've got 18,000 members in this Facebook group. Hashtag Riseandgrind. 18,000. It has been blowing up.
I need you to coach me on my social media. I'll tell you what, if you have me on your show, I'll wear that shirt. You got to wash it first, but I'll wear that shirt. I'll send you this one, but I'll send you an extra large, not a medium. All right.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, we could definitely have you on the show, man. I'd love for you to be on the show. I haven't been able to interview anybody on the show yet because I do my show live at 5:30 in the morning Eastern time, and I don't have anybody else that's got energy like me at 5:30 in the morning Eastern time.
Well, you're 5:30 Eastern. It's about 2:30 for me in California, so it better be a nice colored shirt.
Right.
You don't mind me checking my phone while I'm doing it, right?
Oh man, stop it.
What makes him unstoppable? He doesn't hit the snooze button. He doesn't pick up his phone unless he's going to play some motivational stuff through the phone or some music, right? He starts with gratitude and goals, and you got to have a positive vibrancy to be able to reach those goals. So that's all part of that whole gratitude. And you got to take care of the physical. Reach out and make a difference for someone. Show that gratitude with that positive frequency. I think that makes you unstoppable, my friend.
Hey, thanks, Bill, man.
I got to ask you this in closing. Yes, this is one about you. You're going to have a great time with this, and this is going to be something the audience wants to pay attention to. If you're going to write a paragraph, let's say you're going to write it for your kids, you're going to write it for your audience, you're going to just write it for people to learn from, to grow from. You're going to write one paragraph about what you've experienced in life and how you can coach them not to experience those pains and shorten that distance between where they are and where they want to go. What would that paragraph look like?
Well, all right, hold on.
The best for last, didn't I?
Yeah. Okay. So I've got one paragraph. To shorten that distance from where they are to where they go. Okay. I think if I were, and am I writing it in my tense or to somebody else?
No, you just write this to everybody in the universe. You're gone now. You live to be 200 years old. You want people to learn from you because you're gone. You finally, you didn't swim out there. You just burned out, man. And it was great. 200 years old, though.
Okay.
Great.
Well, thank you. Wow, that's a tough one. I would think, let's see, I'm writing one paragraph. Okay. I would say, Bill, you need to stay on mission. Find your purpose passionately. No half-assing. Make sure you're all in. Every person that you greet, every person you come in contact with, make sure that when they walk away, they feel that they have gained some type of value by having an interaction with you. Love people, love yourself, and love God.
Man, that's a walk-off home run, man. Huh? Some guests that I push back from, but I'm coming into the screen for you.
Nice.
I really live this part that connect with people, treat those people who can't do anything for you the same way you can treat those people who can make you $1 million. Live with character, live with purpose, be authentic. Man, we got a lot of alignment except for our football teams. We got a lot of alignment. You stay on the line. We're going to shut the show down, but I want to talk to you after this because I'm going to tell you where to send that shirt.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great.
He's unstoppable and a fantastic guest. Don't you go away yet.